Hey everyone, it's Nicole again, and I apologize if it's kind of dark. It's dark already, even though it's 4 o'clock, and I didn't want to turn all my lights on because it made it look super yellow. So I'm trying just one light and then these lights, so sorry if it's kind of dark, but to me it looked better than yellow everything. So today I'm here to do my November wrap-up, and I read a good amount of books this month. I read 8 books in general, four of which were novels, 2 of which were graphic novels, comics, and 2 of which were plays actually, which was kind of weird. I don't read plays that much, and then I read 2 this month. So the first thing I read this month was Waiting for Godot, a tragicomedy in 2 acts by Samuel Beckett. And this is a play, I've been trying to finish this for a really long time. This is a play that I feel like most people know what it's about. It's about these 2 characters who are waiting for Godot at a train station. And they're just waiting for him and talking. And to be honest, I feel like reading it, I didn't really gain anything from just knowing the plot. It might be different if I actually saw it, but it was just 2 dudes waiting for someone, and they're chatting, and silly things happen. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might feel differently if I saw the play. And then the next book I have, where is it? Is Ice by Kavan, and this is a book that I was supposed to read for school. I was taking a speculative fiction class, and I read the first 10 pages and I didn't read it, but this one was pretty good, and I had tried to read it other times and I could never make it past the first chapter because it was so weird. And it was definitely very strange, but it gave me vibes from The Castle by Franz Kafka, which is a really good book. I'll try to explain the plot, but it's kind of strange. So there's this guy, this narrator, who's looking for this girl that he loves, but maybe he's abusive. But then there's also this other character who has different names at different points, and he sometimes has the girl, but he's really mean, and it's unclear if this other guy is an actual other character or if it's just a manifestation of the narrator's personality. And then so while all this is going on, the world is slowly being consumed by ice, and everyone's dealing with that. It's very atmospheric and weird. I don't quite know how to talk about this one, but I think I forgot what the specific genre, because speculative fiction is general science fiction, fantasy, horror, just everything. I think this one is slipstream, which I don't, or weird fiction. It's one of those. But yeah, it's not a genre I generally read, but Kavan is a cool lady, so if you're interested in weird books, check it out, I guess. And the next thing I read was Macbeth by William Shakespeare. So we went on a trip to the mountains for our anniversary, and I just brought a ton of books, and I brought Macbeth, and I brought, what's it called? I have it right there. And I brought Hagseed by Margaret Atwood, because I thought Hagseed was a retelling of Macbeth, but it's actually a retelling of a different Shakespeare play, so that I also haven't read. So I brought Macbeth, so I could read it, so I could read Hagseed, and then I realized that that wasn't the play that Hagseed is retelling. But it was really short, and the killing started happening very soon, just immediately. So I feel the pacing wasn't as good as some of his other plays. I really like Hamlet. That's probably my favorite one. Yeah, it was just super fast, and I could tell that people probably thought Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, is supposed to be like a bad person, but I just like didn't get that vibe from her. So yeah, I thought she was cool. The next book I don't have with me because I immediately lent it out to someone, and that was The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. The Miniaturist is a book that I've like heard about. It was never like on my like Goodreads TBR, but I just kind of heard about it, and I knew it was about the Netherlands in like the 1700s, and potentially miniaturists were involved, or like little miniatures were involved. That's all I knew about it. And then I went to a bookstore in Ventura where all the books were $1. It's called Book Off, it's in a mall. And there was a hardcover of The Miniaturist for $1, so I was like, well, I'm gonna buy this. And then I like lent it to a friend of mine who is interested in like Dutch economics, so she was like, that sounds great. But I liked this book quite a lot. It was pretty fun. I'm kind of a nerd, and I like wanted a little more of the Dutch history. I was like super into that part. But yeah, it was really interesting. I felt like the characters were pretty well rounded, and I was like pretty interested in all of them. I was sad when a certain thing happened because I just felt so connected. A lot of things actually. Take that back. A couple things happened at the end that made me sad. But yeah, I felt like the characters were really good. The plot was like okay. I felt like it could have been a little stronger, but this is her first book, and now I'm definitely interested in checking out her second book, The Muse, because I know that one's a lot larger in scope because it's about 2 characters across time, so it's much wider, and I feel like that will definitely go with her writing style, so I'm curious to check that one out. And then the next book I read was one of the graphic novels I read, and that was Dark Knight, A True Batman Story by Paul Dini, and I think it's drawn by Eduardo Riso. So this was a Comics Experience graphic novel of the month book club book. It's the longest title ever. It was from a while ago, but I just had never gotten around to reading it. I think mostly because it's about Paul Dini, who wrote on the Batman animated series, and he's the one who created Harley Quinn. And it's a memoir about how kind of during that time he got mugged on the street and was like in really critical condition, and how that kind of affected his life and his work, and how Batman actually like helped him get through it, which was cool. But I didn't know who he was. I don't really have that strong of a connection to Batman. I've seen some of the movies, but I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And I read it, and it was very interesting, but I don't know. I feel like because of the current political and world climate and events, I'm just kind of been ruined for reading memoirs. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I don't know. I just feel like I've lost my patience for reading memoirs, which feels bad to say because obviously he was dealing with some really horrific things, like being mugged and almost killed. But also I'm like, well, as a woman, I literally have to always watch out on the street. Like, he was like not really paying attention to his surroundings, and it was like, well, if you're a lady, you would definitely know to do that, and to never walk by, like, if you see people who are looking kind of weird, cross the street and just go. Maybe don't go to your house, maybe go to a friend's house, go to like a warm, well-lit place. So it's just like, I have no patience for reading about this when like the world is literally falling apart, which I feel bad about saying because I'm sure this was very difficult for him to deal with, and like he was like his whole face, like his cheek got broken in. It was like real bad, and he like almost died. So yeah, I don't know how to talk about this. It's just gonna be a weird, messy discussion. But yeah, it was okay. I don't know. I feel like Batman and Harley Quinn, maybe read it if you have a connection to Paul, but to me, it's just not in the mood. I don't know. Alright. Then the next one I read as a ebook. I got it from NetGalley like a million months ago. And it's Mr. Memory by Marcus Sedgwick, which came out in March. So yeah, I got it in like February probably. And I just hadn't read it until now. But it was really good. I liked it a lot. It was kind of hard to get into for a bit. It was like really slow at the beginning. But then once I like got into it, I was like, I'm so into this. So yeah, looking at Goodreads, I started reading it July 31st, and I finished it November 22nd. So yeah, it was a bit slow. But it's about this guy who's Mr. Memory, and he can remember everything. And it's set in the late 19th century Paris. So there's a lot of like cabarets and like kind of underground shows going on. So he's in one of those shows and he does like a memory act. In the beginning of the book, he kills his wife and like basically turns himself in. And it's about that, and then also about this policeman who's investigating the murders, or the murder, and just there's some other like weird things going on. But one thing I guess people are saying that I definitely agree with is that the times that things were revealed were a bit odd. Like it would just suddenly tell you some secret, and it just felt like it was a little too early, or like weird timing, or just a weird way to reveal things. So that was kind of weird and might have been why it took me so long to read it. But I definitely thought the plot was really interesting, the characters were cool, and I liked kind of how it was talking about memory. I'm actually taking a class on memory, so it was like weirdly relevant to that. And then the next book I read, I finished like a couple days ago, and that's Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste. I think that's how you say her name, not sure. I haven't read her first novel, Everything I've Never Told You, but I got this in the Muse Monthly box for November. And everyone was talking about it on YouTube. So I was like, I feel like I should read this one right away. So I brought it as my like book to read over Thanksgiving break at my parents', and I read most of it like in the car ride up and down. It was really good. It's about this suburban family in a small, very rich neighborhood in Cleveland, Ohio. And so it's about this very well put together family, and they let this young, like a single mom who's an artist and her teenage daughter stay in one of their like rentals. And the children start becoming friends, and the families are like intertwining. And then there's this whole, I don't know if they talk about it. I think so, yeah. There's this whole other plot where this rich white couple adopts a Chinese baby. So it's kind of about that. It's about relationships between mothers and daughters, and between families, and how everyone always wants what they don't have. Like the rich kids are like, wow, that seems cool to have like a cool artsy mom, and like the artsy mom's daughter is like, oh wow, I wish I had like my own bedroom and all of this stuff. So that was really cool and very well written, and it made me cry. Yeah, there's something that's holding me back from giving it 5 stars. Like, I think it is the best 2017 release I've read this year, just because I don't read too many new books. But there's just something holding me back, and I don't know what it is. The only thing I can think of is that it felt very, like, written and very exposition heavy, and I felt like there were points where she could have showed us how characters were or what they were doing instead of just telling us. But besides that, it's like a perfect book, and I am looking forward to whatever else she puts out, and I'm curious to read her first book too, because I know people like that one. Alright, and the last book I read as an ebook from the library, because, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, I need to just check out all of the ebooks from the library, and I just go through my Goodreads and I'm like, what has like really short pages so I can just read a ton of things at once. So I was in one of those moods. So I got a bunch of stuff, but I only read one thing so far. And that was The Trouble with Women by Jacky Fleming, which is a little like comic graphic novel. I don't really know how to describe it because it's not a typical graphic novel. And I also was reading it as an ebook, so I think it's panel by panel. So I wasn't sure, like, is this one page, are there like 4 panels to a page, 1 panel per page? So I wasn't exactly sure what the format is, but it's basically a humorous telling of why women aren't discussed in history. And I thought it was really funny. And I was like reading on the train and just cracking up. Because it was like oh, women don't have genius hair, so like they can't be smart and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, like they can't go out in public because they'll start crying. So it's clearly supposed to be like satirical, and I thought it was pretty fun and cool, and I would love for like young ladies to read this and feel empowered. But yeah, those are the 8 books that I read this month. I think I did pretty well because I read 4 novels, and 2 of them, like Little Fires Everywhere and The Miniaturist, are pretty long, so even Mr. Memory was like, I think over 300, so I'm pretty proud of myself for this month. And let me know what you read this month. Let me know if you read Little Fires Everywhere, because I feel like everyone did, but it was very good, so I'm glad we all read it, and we can talk about how great it is. But yeah, I'll see y'all soon in another video. Bye!